Looking at binomial expansion. These are the ones that are a little bit more advanced. You're still preparing for one more than what your power is, one more term. So we need to prepare for 5 terms. I think I got my spaces a little bit large there at the beginning. Oops. Alright, so prepped for 5 terms. Now, if I have a power of 4, I do believe that's 1, 4, 6, 4, and 1. Now, come back. This is where it gets interesting. I now have a 2x as my first term. Well, he needs to start with power of 4, 2x with a power of 3, 2x with a power of 2, 2x with a power of 1, and 2x with a power of 0. Alright, coming back, we have 5 to the 0, 5 to the 1, 5 to the 2, 5 to the 3, 5 to the 4. So at all times, remember your exponent should add up to what was given. Now, I would advise having a calculator. And one of the graphing calculators sure is nice, or at least one of the TIs with the 2 lines on it. Now, if I were you, I would probably reduce the terms that are raised to the 0 power because they simplify to 1 anyway. Now, on the first term, the only thing you really have is 1 times 2x, and all of that is raised to the 4th. So the 2 is raised to the 4th as well as the x is to the 4th. So you know x to the 4th is part of your answer here, but you have to figure out what 2 to the 4th is. So type that in if you don't know it. There you go, 16. And then move on to your next term. Now, this is where it gets interesting. What you need is in your calculator, the format, and I know some of you can do this in your head. You might want to do part of it in your head, and that's fine. But just for structure purposes, you need 4 times 2 to the 3rd times 5. And I'm just going to put the first here just so that you get the structure. If you can type this in your calculator for term 2, you're just not typing the variable. The variable you're responsible for writing down. You type this portion in your calculator, and we do 4 times 2 to the 3rd, which is 8. So if you did that part in your head, you got 4 times 8 times 5, and that's just 160. Okay. Then move on to the next one. Well, on the next term, I know it's going to be x squared. My problem is I don't know what the coefficient is. But if I type in 6 times 2 squared, and it doesn't matter if you do the times signs or you do the parentheses, it doesn't really matter. But that's going to be 6 times, well, I know 2 squared is 4, so I can type a 4. And I know 5 squared is 25. So you can make those substitutions. There's your 600. And then you're going to come back and you're going to be like, okay, this one's going to have an x, but I've got to figure out what this is. That's 4 times 2 times 5 to the 3rd. Okay, that ends up being 1,000. All right, on this last one, you don't have any variables because your variables canceled out, which should make sense. Your last term is a constant every time. You just have 5 to the 4th, and I do believe 5 to the 4th is 625, and it is. That is the main structure, is knowing how to take what you're given. And that's the reason I built the structure with the coefficient, first term, last term. Just make sure you're placing your exponent on the outside of the parenthesis, because you need to know that the coefficient of the first term and the variable of the first term, they're both raised to that power. So they both get that action whenever you go to comprise your answer. Let's just do one more just to verify that you're good to go. I'm going to take this out because it's just in the way. Okay, now let's see. I need to prepare for 6 terms. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. Okay, we're ready to rock and roll. Now, if it's a 5, I do believe that's 1, 5, 10, 10, 5, and 1. Okay, now we're going to have a 3x to the 5th, 3x to the 4th, 3x to the 3rd, 3x to the 2nd, 3x to the 1st, and 3x to the 0th. Okay, if you do that, that just keeps your brain from melting. I'm trying to get a color that I don't have. I don't have green. Okay, so I'm not going to write the negative. In a previous video, I explained how the negative actually works. I don't want to type the negative in my calculator because depending on if you use parentheses or not, the negative could just make things wonky. All the negative is going to do is alternate your signs. You will always start positive, and then you're going to alternate positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, forever, and so on. So I know when I'm done, I need to alternate my signs. That's all this does. So I'm just going to put in a 2. If you disagree with that, well, I guess you can do it your own way. But this is the way I show my students so that they make less errors. Now, whenever you go through to type it in, because you're probably going to need a little bit of calculator assistance to get this value, you come through here, and of course the 1's not going to make much difference, but you do need to know what 3 to the 5th is. 3 to the 5th is 243, and then don't forget your x to the 5th. All right, now I need 5 times 3 to the 4th, and then that is times 2. Okay, 8, 10, don't forget your x to the 4th. And yes, I'm writing all plus signs right now because my last thing is going to be change my signs. So don't flip out about the signs. We're going to do that with the grand hoorah at the end. So 10 times 3 to the 3rd, and then times 2 to the 2nd, which is 4, so I'm just going to slap a 4 down. And I got 1080 x to the 3rd. All right, now time for this guy. 10 times 3 squared, hey, I know that's 9. And 2 to the 3rd, I know that's 8. So 720, and that's an x squared. All right, this guy. 5 times 3 times 2 to the 4th, which I do believe is 16. There we go, is 240, put an x, and then we have no x's. I just have 2 to the 5th, which is 32. Now, here we go. Grab your eraser. You're supposed to be doing math with a pencil anyway, right? You start positive. So this guy is positive. I was trying to do it up 10. Okay, that one's positive. So swap, swap. So positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. So come back in here. You should alternate. Positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. Yay, you did it. So that's the reason I'm saying don't let the negatives throw you for a loop, but don't forget about them, okay? You got to be conscious that you have to go back and change your negatives. But I don't want you to get confused with your calculator. Okay, y'all practice up. Let me know if you have trouble.